Starting at roughly £16,500 before the government grant, this is the only electric car on the market that doesn't demand you stick a kidney on eBay just to cover the bill. Welcome back to UK Auto Insights. Smash that subscribe button if you're tired of overhyped motors. The Renault Twingo E-Tech lands like a gloriously sarcastic reply to the question, why on earth must we spend a fortune on a fridge on wheels? Welcome back to the channel, where we don't peddle pipe dreams, but rather the brutal yet refreshingly pleasant reality of cars that actually fit your wallet. Honestly, the streets are crawling with EVs that hit 0 to 60 miles per hour quicker than your ex ghosted you. What's the point? So you can reach the red light 2 seconds before everyone else, sitting there feeling smug while your stomach rumbles because you're skint? The Twingo refuses to join that ridiculous race. It's calm, compact, and best of all, it doesn't require you to sign away your soul just to get a posh logo on the steering wheel. If you're fed up with car reviews using flowery jargon like design excellence or luxury heritage to mask an eye-watering price tag, you've found the right spot. Here we call a spade a spade. A proper car is one that leaves you with enough quid in the bank to actually buy a meal afterwards, not some pretty piece of kit that leaves you living on nothing but beans on toast for a month. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our next U-turn on this electric frog, because trust me, this £16,500 price tag is just the opening act to a series of revelations that'll have you laughing in painful recognition. Look at the Twingo E-Tech and you'll see either artistic laziness or Renault dusting off some 1992 sketches from a forgotten drawer and declaring, "Right, let's stick with this. Everyone loves a bit of vintage." They've kept those split, round headlights that look like eyes heavy with sleep, yet they're sharp as a tack when they spot your wallet. This design isn't futuristic, it's the pinnacle of self-mockery. While other manufacturers are busy sharpening every edge to make their cars look like they're about to pierce the space-time continuum, the Twingo opts for being as round as a lollipop. It's not trying to intimidate anyone. It rolls into a parking space and says, "I know I'm small, but at least I'm not hogging 2 spots like that hulking SUV over there." The genius of this daintiness is that it makes you a master of urban geometry. At just over 3.6 meters long, the Twingo makes luxury salons look like beached whales in a tight London side street. But make no mistake, this isn't some harmless, cute car. It's a manifesto. Renault uses hidden rear door handles and minimalist lines to play tricks on your eyes. You look at it and think, that must be cramped inside. That's the first logical U-turn. They've designed it like a woman's handbag, compact on the outside, but it holds an entire universe where you can somehow squeeze in a camping tent without even knowing how you managed it. The real engineering lies in how they've handled the retro details. Those pixelated LED taillights aren't just for show. They're Renault's way of reminding us that it's 2026, but we can still be nostalgic for the classics. They don't need shiny chrome trim to fake any luxury. The Twingo's classiness lies in it daring to be itself, an electric frog that doesn't need a heavy layer of makeup. And remember that £16,500 price tag I mentioned? That cash didn't go into complex aerodynamic curves to help the car fly to the moon. It went into a design that in 10 years' time will still look spot on, rather than like a piece of obsolete tech dragged up from a landfill. Don't let the Twingo's butter wouldn't melt looks deceive you, because when you floor it, you're greeted by a legion of 82 horsepower. That number sounds like Renault just pinched the motor from an industrial food processor and slapped some wheels on it. But here's the plot twist. 82 electric horses are a completely different animal to 82 horses in some petrol-powered shed that screams for mercy on every hill. With instant torque, the Twingo pounces off the line as if someone just stepped on its tail. It won't win you any drag races against supercars, but it guarantees you'll be the first to escape the chaos at the lights as soon as they turn green. Top speed? Come off it. We're talking about a car that costs the price of a few designer handbags. Do you expect it to break the sound barrier? Renault has limited it to a level where you won't get a stern word from the motorway police, yet you'll still feel like you're actually driving, not just drifting along. The philosophy here is crystal clear. Why waste money on a massive engine when 99% of the time you're stuck in traffic, staring at the bumper in front? The Twingo doesn't sell you raw power, it sells you freedom from the obsession of having to prove yourself on the tarmac. The real engineering genius lies in putting this motor on the rear axle. This turns the front wheels into proper dancers because they're no longer cluttered by drive shafts. The result is a turning circle of just 8.6 meters, a spec that would make lorry drivers weep with envy. You can pull a U-turn in a narrow alley or wiggle through gaps that even a cat would think twice about. Remember that Lollipop design from earlier? The combination of its stubby frame and this extreme agility makes the Twingo a proper piece of urban tech. You're not just driving it, you're piloting an electric shuttle through the city's tightest veins. Under the floor lies a 27.5 kilowatt-hour LFP battery, a figure that sounds laughably modest if you've just been geeking out over Tesla's specs. But this is exactly where Renault's logic forces us to have a light bulb moment. Why lug around a half-ton battery just to do 20 miles a day? The Twingo isn't built for your Land's End to John O'Groats fantasies. It's built for your actual life. With lithium iron phosphate, or LFP tech, Renault has picked the toughest, cheapest, and most fire-resistant battery available. It's like opting for a pair of trusty wellies to pop down to the shops rather than donning high-end, multi-thousand-pound running trainers. They might not win you a race, but they're so indestructible you could pass them down to your grandkids. The 260-kilometer WLTP range is, in truth, a bit of a misdirection. In urban conditions, where this car belongs, you'll find it is incredibly hardy thanks to its regenerative braking. Every time you lift off the accelerator, the car doesn't just slow down, it's quietly stealing kinetic energy to feed back into the battery. Technically, using LFP cells helps Renault slice 20% off production costs compared to NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries. That's why that £16,500 price tag isn't a magic trick. It's the result of having the guts to ditch everything you don't actually need. But get ready for this shocker. There's no high-speed DC charging here. Why? Because Renault knows that if you've got the patience to drive an 82 horsepower motor, you're definitely calm enough to wait for it to charge overnight at home or via a slow AC charger at the office car park. It forces you to shift your rhythm. Instead of frantically hunting for a supercharger like it's the holy grail, you just plug it in like you would a massive smartphone. And remember that 8.6 meter turning circle from before? It lets you wiggle into the parking spot right next to the wall socket without breaking a sweat. The Twingo isn't just a vehicle, it's a masterclass in enough. Exactly how much electricity do you really need to be happy? Step inside the Twingo E-Tech and you'll realize Renault has pulled off a spatial magic trick that even those microscopic London studio flats should be taking notes from. They call it minimalist design, but it's really the fine art of clever concealment. You're looking at a tidy cockpit, but in reality, they've squeezed every millimeter to turn it into a magical Tardis. The passenger seat folds completely flat, turning the car into a single bed or a rack for long items you'd normally need a van to haul. It's a hilarious contrast. You're driving a tiny runabout, yet you can lug an entire IKEA bookshelf home. The Open R-Link infotainment system with Google built in is a proper game changer for the experience. In a car costing £16,500, manufacturers usually fob you off with a touchscreen that's as sluggish as a first-gen mobile, but not here. Renault's gone big. You've got Google Maps running smoothly and a voice assistant that actually understands what music you're after, even when you're grumbling about the M25 traffic. It makes you forget you're sitting in an entry-level motor. It creates an illusion of high-tech luxury, a bit like wearing a plastic watch that happens to have a Rolex movement inside. Technically, using recycled interior materials isn't just about saving the planet or polishing the brand's green credentials. It's a clever way to slash total weight, helping the 82 HP motor we discussed earlier not to strain itself hauling around useless layers of heavy leather. Every detail from the dashboard to the storage bins has been calculated to give an airy feel. And don't forget, the rear seats slide back and forth. You can choose between giving your passengers more legroom or chucking in a few extra grocery bags. It's an intriguing game of trade-offs where you have to constantly reprioritize your life's needs right there on four wheels. Look at the budget EV segment and you'll see a battlefield where rivals try to cram everything into a cheap chassis or churn out cars that look like toys running on AA batteries. But the Twingo E-Tech? It's a slap in the face to anyone who thinks cheap has to mean boring. When the French step into the arena, they bring that high-fashion arrogance and apply it to a daily runabout. If the rival cars are the tatty flip-flops you wear around the house, then the Twingo is the stylish pair of trainers you confidently wear down the high street without fear of being called a poverty-spec poser. The engineering Renault used here isn't a race for a massive heavy battery, which they know is both pricey and burdensome, but about optimizing mass for every single kilowatt hour. While other manufacturers are struggling with heavy, outdated platforms, Renault has refined the structure to turn the Twingo into a lightweight sprinter. It doesn't need the brute force of a lorry to be effective. It's like a judo fighter, using agility to win rather than relying on raw muscle to flatten the competition. Remember the 16,500-pound price tag we talked about at the start? It's a figure other manufacturers can only dream of in their wildest fantasies. Renault isn't just selling a car, they're setting a technical benchmark. You can't just copy-paste a cheap electric car. You need a minimalist production process, a clever supply chain, and a chassis as flexible as that flying seat we analyzed earlier. If you're a manufacturer planning to flood the market with cheap and dreary motors, be warned, the Twingo isn't just a car, it's proof that minimalism is the ultimate sophistication. If you find this electric frog more endearing than paying monthly installments for a 3-ton SUV, hit the subscribe button right now. And if you still think 16,500 pounds is too steep for a motorized Lollipop, leave a comment below. I'm dying to hear what smarter way you'd spend that cash. Don't forget to like and share this video with your mates who are about to go electric. Thanks for sticking with us, and here's to stylish trips without going bust. Cheerio, and see you next time for more automotive deep dives.